What's up, YouTube? It's JackalGoldKick, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about underrated Eminem songs. So, this was somewhat difficult to put together in terms of a list because a lot of Eminem's music is very popular. I mean, he's already a very popular rapper himself. So, I tried to pick songs that I feel like aren't as played, aren't as talked about, that I think are really good. And I just went through his albums and kind of picked out some here and there that I think are underrated. And I picked some other ones that were collabs and then some that were unreleased on albums, things like that. So I have a pretty decent sized list here. So let's get started with this video, underrated Eminem songs. So the first one I have on the list is his song "If I Get Locked Up Tonight," which was a collaborative effort with Dr. Dre and Funkmaster Flex. It was on a mixtape back in the '90s. That's a really good song from Eminem. Not a lot of people talk about that one. I don't hear it being played a lot. That's a really good song by Eminem. It has a really good chorus by Eminem, really good production. It's Eminem in his prime. Great rapping on that song, great lyrics, great flow and delivery from Eminem. That's a really good song. I like that one. The next one that I'm going to talk about is I'm Shady from the Slim Shady LP. I feel like this song isn't as talked about as other songs from that era and songs in general from Eminem. This is personally my favorite Eminem song of all time. I think I'm Shady is definitely an underrated Eminem song. I think it's a really good song. It has good production, great rapping from Eminem, great flow, delivery, and lyrics from him. It's got a really good chorus, and I just think it's an awesome song. It's always stood out to me, and I definitely think it's an underrated song. It doesn't get talked about a lot or played a lot. The next one on my list I'm going to talk about is Amityville featuring Bizarre from the Marshall Mathers LP. I kind of slept on this song because it's one I ain't listened to a lot, but I was listening to it recently a while ago and I was like, wow, this is a damn good song. And I think this is a pretty underrated Eminem song from the Marshall Mathers LP. This song definitely should be talked about more and played more. I think this is a great song from Eminem. He has a really good voice tone in this song. It's a good horrorcore rap type song. Great lyrics from Eminem, great chorus from him, great rapping from Eminem. I didn't mind Bizarre in this song. Bizarre has always been the guy that'll just say crazy stuff and shock value stuff. I know some people didn't care for him on the song, but I didn't mind him because I know the kind of rapper Bizarre is. So I think Amityville is another underrated song by Eminem. I think I read somewhere that there's a version of that song with Pace One. I don't know if it exists on YouTube, but I read somewhere that Pace One was on that song, apparently. I would like to hear the version with him on it, but I think that's an underrated song. The next song I'm going to be talking about, another one that I think is very underrated by Eminem, doesn't get talked about a lot, is The Kids from the Marshall Mathers LP, a certain edition of the album. It replaces Kim, or on some versions of the album, it comes with the song Kim. I think The Kids is definitely an underrated Eminem song. It's like a storytelling Eminem song where he's like telling stories of like drugs to like kids, like he's talking to them as a teacher in a classroom. And it's like kind of a comical comedy type rap song, but you also have some kind of horror elements thrown in there with how some of the stories go. And it just has a great beat, great chorus from Eminem, great rapping, and it's a good storytelling song. I think it's a really good song and definitely think it's an underrated gem of Eminem song, The Kids. Definitely think it should be talked about more and it should be played more. I think it's good. The next song on my list I'm going to talk about is also one that I would consider overhated, Drips with Obi Trice from the Eminem Show. I've always liked this song growing up. It was always actually one of my favorites from the Eminem Show. I've always liked the song Drips from the Eminem Show with Obi Trice. This is a hated song, but I don't mind the song myself. I think it's underrated. I think it's overhated in my opinion. I like the beat on the song Drips. I think Obi Trice and Eminem have a really good rapping on the song. I think the chorus is really good. I mean, yeah, the subject matter is crazy. It's basically about bad things that happen to you with certain women you have sex with and all that stuff and diseases. So it has some nastiness to it in terms of subject matter and lyrics, but I've always liked the song. I always thought it was a really good song, honestly. And I think that's an underrated one and overhated one, in my opinion. I've always liked Drips with Obi Trice. The next song that we're talking about on the list I think is underrated is She's the One with Royce to 5'9". So there's two versions of this song. There's the one Royce put on his album Rock City, which has a different rapper, but the original version has Eminem on it. This song was actually produced by Pharrell and his group, the Neptunes, the group he was in, the Neptunes, more so, I should say. That's a really good song with Royce da 5'9" and Eminem. It's interesting to hear Royce da 5'9", especially Eminem, on a beat by the Neptunes. It's a different feel and style. It was in the 2000s, the early 2000s. It's a really good song. I like the rapping from Royce da 5'9" and Eminem. I like the beat. I like the chorus. I think it's a really good collab song between the two. I think it's an underrated song with the two, and an underrated Eminem song. It doesn't really get talked about a lot. Doesn't really get played a lot. So that's another one I think is definitely underrated. Another one that I think is underrated is from the Encore album, the self-titled song Encore with Dr. Dre and 50 Cent. Now, the only issue I have with this song is I think 50 Cent is not on the song enough. You hear him here and there on the song, and he has a verse, but it's a very short verse. I think he should have been on the song more. But I really like the song Encore with Dr. Dre and 50 Cent. That's a quality song. I love the production. I love the chorus. I love the rapping from Eminem. Love the rapping from Dr. Dre. The parts that 50 Cent gets is great. It's a really good song. I think it's just quality. I love the beat, chorus, rapping, flow delivery from Eminem, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent. It's just a really good song overall. It's got some really good lyrics in it. It's definitely a great way to end off the Encore album. I think it's a underrated song, that's for sure. I put it up there with Crack a Bottle. It's a really good song. I think Crack a Bottle has the edge over this because 50 Cent actually got to be on that song way longer. But I think Encore, Dr. Dre, and 50 Cent is a really good song, and it's definitely underrated and should be talked about more, should be played more. Another song that I'm going to be mentioning, I think, is very underrated, and this song always was one of my favorites growing up. It always stood out to me. We as Americans, from the second disc of the Encore album, Encore Disc 2. This song was the first song on that disc album, and I think it's a great song. I honestly think, besides another one I'm going to mention that I guess kind of touches on politics a little bit, I think this is Eminem's best political song. We as Americans is a great song by Eminem. It's got a really cool intro. It's got great production, great rapping, some great lyrics, great flow and delivery from Eminem, great chorus. It's basically talking about we as Americans and, being without guns and gun rights and all that stuff. I think it's a really good political song by Eminem, and I think it's one of his most underrated songs. And I think he did political rap better with songs like this compared to some of the political rap he did later on with stuff like some of the stuff on Revival and stuff like that. We as Americans are just quality. Great flow and delivery from Eminem, great rapping, great beat, great chorus on the song. Just a really good song. I think it's underrated. Definitely should be talked about more. Definitely should be played more. I've always liked that one. The next one I'm going to be mentioning, it's more of a remix. His remix to 50 Cent song Wanksta. I definitely think it's underrated as well from Eminem. Not a lot of people talk about that one or really play that one. I think that's a really good remix from Eminem. His remix to Wanksta, I think it's really good. I like it a lot. The Wanksta song itself, originally by 50 Cent, was a really good song as well. And Eminem has a pretty good version of that song. I like his rapping on there and what he does with it. That's underrated as well. Thought he had a really good remix to Wanksta by 50 Cent. The next one I'm going to mention is Jimmy Crack Corn from the Re-Up album. I always thought Jimmy Crack Corn was also another underrated Eminem song. I like Jimmy Crack Corn. I think both versions are good. There's a version with 50 Cent, which is the one in the album. Then there's a remix version where it's Cassius and Eminem instead of Eminem and 50 Cent. That's a pretty good version too. I like both versions. Jimmy Crack Corn's a great song. Both versions, Cassius or 50 Cent, they have good verses. I like Eminem's rapping on the song. I like the beat. I like the chorus. Pretty catchy chorus. Really good lyrics. I think it's a really good song and definitely an underrated one and one that should be talked about more. Another underrated Eminem song is Public Enemy Number One. This is kind of the semi-political song I was talking about earlier. I definitely think Public Enemy Number One is one of Eminem's most underrated songs. I think Public Enemy Number One is a cool song by Eminem because it's one of the only times you hear Eminem kind of go into sort of the conspiracy theory stuff in his rap songs. Because in the song, he's talking about JFK and the assassination of that and guy that happened to live on the block and stuff like that. And it feels like the song is touching on like some conspiracy theory type stuff, which Eminem didn't really do that much in his music. So it was interesting to hear about that. And it has some semi political stuff in there mentioning JFK, and then he's talking about the FBI and stuff that's going to happen to him. I think it's a really good short song. It's got a really good beat. It has kind of a ominous, haunting feel to it, the way the beat sounds and what he's talking about. Eminem has really good rapping on the song, really good lyrics, really good flow and delivery. I like Public Enemy Number One. I think it's an underrated Eminem song for sure. Another one I'm going to mention is his collab song with Busta Rhymes that was meant to be on one of Busta Rhymes' albums. I think it's the Big Bang. That's the album. The song "I'll Hurt You" that he did with Busta Rhymes. That is a really good song. I think that's the best collab Busta Rhymes and Eminem did together. I really like the song "I'll Hurt You." You got Scott Storch on the beat. It's a quality track. Eminem and Busta Rhymes do a great job rapping on that song. Great lyrics from both of them. Really good chorus. It's an awesome song and definitely an underrated song for Eminem. I like that one a lot. It should have been on the Big Bang album. Another underrated Eminem song is another collab I'll mention, which is called "Testify" with Stat Quo. This was supposed to be on Stat Quo's album Statlanta, and I actually think this is a really good song. Definitely an underrated one. It's a different type of feel for Eminem. It's kind of more of a gospel type beat, and you don't really hear Eminem on gospel church choir type beats, and that's kind of the feel of the production of Testify, but I think it really works well. Stat Quo is good on the song. Eminem's really good on the song. He has good lyrics on there, good rapping and flow and delivery, and he has sort of a kind of an accent he uses on the song that I like. I think it's an underrated song. I always thought "Testify" by Eminem and Stat Quo was an underrated song. I like that one a lot. I definitely prefer that over the other collab they did, "Atlanta on Fire." I just never could get into "Atlanta on Fire" with Stat Quo and Eminem. I don't know, something about that song just doesn't work for me. I thought "Testify" was a better collab between the two. Um, and then another one I'm gonna mention is "I Get Money" remix. The 50 Cent had a song called "I Get Money," and Eminem did a remix to that song. That's another Eminem song I'll mention that I think is underrated. I actually forgot to put it on the list, but I decided to throw it in here because I just remembered it. I think that's an underrated Eminem song for sure. It's got really good rapping, really good flow and delivery from Eminem, really good lyrics. Chorus is pretty cool. I like how he kind of throws some shots at Jay-Z and Kanye by saying, everyone says they're the best, but what about me? And I think it's a really good remix that Eminem did to "I Get Money." I think that's a underrated Eminem song, an underrated remix he did for sure. The 50 Cent song "I Get Money," which is a good song. I mean, maybe a part of the reason this is underrated is that it never officially came out, so that could be the reason for it. But it's underrated. Another song I'm going to be mentioning by Eminem, I think is pretty underrated, is "50 Ways." Now, again, this also could be underrated due to the fact that it was leaked. It was supposed to be on the King Mathers album. I think 50 Ways is an underrated Eminem song. I really like this one. I like the version that someone did on YouTube where they kind of extended it and they added some stuff to it. I can't remember which upload that was. I think 50 Ways is a really good song by Eminem and definitely underrated. It's got a really good production, really good rapping from Eminem. I like his voice tone on that song. It's very just different, and you can tell it's when he was really on the pills. It's like a basically a love song about Kim, and I think it's a really good track, really good rapping from him, good lyrics, good flow and delivery from him, really good beat. I like the sample that he uses, which is the 50 Ways song by I think it's Paul McCartney or I don't know, whoever made that song he samples. He sampled that song actually back in the day too for his song on Slim Shady EP Murder Murder, which is pretty cool. And Kid Cudi even did his own version of the song too, the 50 Ways song. So I think that's an underrated song by Eminem, 50 Ways. I think songs like that is more of what I want to hear from Eminem in terms of those love type songs. I think Eminem did it better with songs like 50 Ways. Another Eminem song I think is pretty underrated is Hello from the Relapse album. I think "Hello" was an underrated Eminem song. That's probably my favorite song off of Relapse, or one of my favorites. So there's a lot of really good songs on Relapse and Relapse Refill. I really like "Hello." I think it has a really good beat, really good lyrics, really good chorus. I like Eminem's rapping and flowing and delivery on that song. I like the chorus on that song, and I always liked Eminem's voice tone on the track. He sounded like when I was younger and I listened to that song, I always felt like Eminem did not sound like Eminem on that song. I don't know why that was. I don't know if I still feel that way, but that's something I felt back when I did listen to that song. But it's a really good song. I've always liked "Hello." I think it's an underrated Eminem song, that's for sure. Hell, Relapse Refill itself is an underrated album, honestly, and overhated in my opinion. Another Eminem song I think is underrated is "Same Song and Dance," which is also from Relapse. I think that's a very underrated song from Eminem. It's got a different kind of beat that Eminem uses that's not common like the beats he usually raps on. It's got a really good chorus. I like Eminem's rapping on it. It's a good horrorcore song, good flow and delivery on it. And I think that's a really good horrorcore song he made. I like "Same Song and Dance." Definitely think it's an underrated Eminem song. The next Eminem song that I'm choosing that I also think is underrated is "Hell Breaks Loose," which is from Relapse Refill. That's a really good song with Eminem and Dr. Dre. Amazing production from Dr. Dre. Really good collab with Eminem and Dr. Dre. Great rapping from both of them. Great chorus. Great lyrics from Eminem and Dr. Dre. Great flow and delivery from both of them. That's just a really good song and definitely an underrated song. I really like Hell Breaks Loose. That's an awesome song. And then I have three more I'm going to mention that are also from Relapse Refill. Next one I'm going to mention is Buffalo Bill. I think that's another underrated Eminem song that should be talked about more and played more. I think that's a quality horrorcore song from Eminem. It's got really good production, really good rapping from Eminem, really good flow and delivery from him, really good lyrics, a really good chorus. It's one of his best horrorcore songs. It's horrorcore done so well by Eminem. It's great. Really like Buffalo Bill. It's one of his most underrated songs easily, and it's great. Another Eminem song I think is underrated is Taking My Ball. That's one of my all-time favorite Eminem songs, which is also from Relapse Refill. I love Taking My Ball. That's one of my most favorite Eminem songs. I think it's one of his most underrated songs. Love the chorus. It's very catchy. I like his rapping on the song. I like the flow and delivery and the lyrics from him. I like the production. I think that's a really good song. I absolutely love Taking My Ball. Think it's underrated. And then the last one I'm mentioning that's also from Relapse Refill, and I think this would probably be the most underrated one off of Relapse Refill. I think this would be my favorite off counting Relapse and Refill if I really had to break it down. Music Box. Music Box is one of Eminem's most underrated songs because I think it's easily one of his best songs he's ever made, and it's easily one of his most underrated songs of all time. It's a very, very slept on Eminem song, very underrated Eminem song in my opinion. The production on the song is outstanding. Dr. Dre did a great job producing that song. The rapping from Eminem is great. The lyrics from him are great. The flow and delivery from him is great. That's a quality horrorcore song by Eminem, and it's just so damn good. That's one of his best, newest type songs from modern era Eminem, and I just always thought it was one of his most underrated Eminem songs. It's great. It's quality. That's the kind of music I wish Eminem was still putting out and doing every now and then because, yeah, that's one of his most underrated songs. The next one on the list I'm going to mention is the song On Fire from his Recovery album. I think On Fire is an underrated song. I like that song from Recovery. It was always one of my favorites when I listened to Recovery. I think that's an underrated song from Eminem. I like On Fire. I like the production. I like the rapping. I like the lyrics. I like his flow and delivery. I like the chorus. That was always just a really cool song. It's produced by Mr. Porter from D12. I think it's an underrated Eminem song and don't get talked about a lot. Definitely don't get played a lot. That's a really good song. Another Eminem song I think is underrated is White Trash Party, or WTP for short. I think this is a pretty good club party type song that Eminem made in Recovery. I do like this track. I think it has really good production, catchy chorus, really good rapping from Eminem, good flow and delivery from him, really good lyrics. I like WTP, aka White Trash Party. I think that's a really good song from Eminem, and it's definitely really underrated. I like that one a lot. The next Eminem song on the list I'm going to mention I think is very underrated is the song Seduction from the Recovery album. That's a very underrated Eminem song, and I think it's really good. It's a very different type of Eminem song as well, which is something else I like about the song and why I think it's underrated. It's got a different kind of beat that Eminem raps on, different kind of style, I feel like. I really like the chorus on there. I like Eminem's rapping on there. I like his flow and delivery. I like the lyrics to the song. I think it's a really good song. Subject matter of the song is basically about like the rap game, but in the sense of being like a bitch, basically. I think it's a really good song and definitely one of Eminem's most underrated songs. I've always liked Seduction. It's one of the better songs off of Recovery, and I think it's one of his most underrated ones and a very different type of Eminem song. So that's another one that I think is an underrated Eminem song. The next Eminem song I think is underrated is the self-titled song called Untitled, which is off his Recovery album, which is the last song of the regular edition, not the deluxe edition. That's a really good song by Eminem. It's a good freestyle type song where he's just like rapping the whole way through. I think that's an underrated Eminem song. Not many people talk about that one or play that one. I like the Untitled track off Recovery. That song samples some song called You Don't Own Me or something like that. I noticed G Easy did his own version of that with Grace, I think for the Suicide Squad soundtrack, and Eminem also did something with that beat with the Recovery album. You can hear it in the background. So yeah, that's another underrated Eminem song. And then another Eminem song I'm going to mention I think is underrated, and this is a bonus track for the Recovery album is Riders. I think Riders is one of Eminem's most criminally slept on, most criminally underrated songs of all time. It is so underrated and so slept on. I've always liked Riders from Recovery. That is a quality song by Eminem. You got a Dr. Dre beat. You got great rapping, flow and delivery and lyrics from Eminem. You got really good chorus. And it's just an awesome song. It's a good, like, kind of party type track, but also like mess with me, I'll beat you up in the party type track. It's kind of what it is, a club type cut. And it's just such an underrated Eminem song. It's one of his most underrated and most least talked about songs he's done. I think it's a really good song. And I wish more songs on Recovery were like I don't mind Recovery as an album, but one of the things that is a shame I feel like is Relapse. I feel like the Relapse album had better production in Recovery, and I think because Dr. Dre was not as involved in Recovery as he was on Relapse, and I wish that more of the songs in Recovery were produced by Dr. Dre, much like the song Riders is, because that's one of the reasons it's such a good song, because Dr. Dre was producing it. So I really like Riders. That's an underrated song from Eminem. The next one I'm going to mention is Above the Law with Royce da 5'9", which is Bad Meets Evil from the Hella Sequel album. I think this is definitely an underrated song Eminem did. I like the chorus on here. I like how the beat is. I like the rapping, flow, delivery, and lyrics from Eminem and Royce da 5'9". They just got really good, aggressive rap deliveries and voices on the song. And I just think it's a good song overall. Good beat, good rapping from Royce and Eminem, good lyrics, good chorus. I think it's a really good song. I like that one a lot. Think it's really good. So yeah, Above the Law is definitely an underrated Eminem song. Another Eminem song I think is underrated is Echo, which is also from the Hell the Sequel album. I think that's underrated as well. I think that was one of the songs that leaked. And I think it was a bonus track on the Hell the Sequel album. That's definitely another underrated song that Eminem did, as well as Royce da 5'9". It has really good production, very creepy type production, really good rapping from Eminem, really good rapping from Royce da 5'9", really good lyrics from both of them, really good production, and it's just a quality song overall. I like that one a lot. And it has a creepy type chorus from I think Liz Rodriguez. So that's an underrated song as well. And then the last one I'm going to mention for this list of underrated Eminem songs is going to be his song Castle from the Revival album. Now, I think there's a few, maybe some factors why this song is underrated and not as known. It's because the Revival album by Eminem, when it came out, it was very hated. Many people didn't really care for it. I was one of those people that didn't really care for it either. I just think the production and a lot of the features, and a lot of the choruses he had, and his rap style in a lot of ways, some of the sampling just didn't really work. Like for example, the song "Remind Me" on Revival. I don't want to hear Eminem on a sampled version of a pretty good song by Joan Jett. It just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work. I could hear Yellow Wolf doing that or Kid Rock or somebody like that, but I just can't hear Eminem doing something like that. It's just sampling like that, sampling like the stuff on Untouchable, and we can make that's for another topic entirely about Revival, but I think that's definitely why this song probably got overshadowed, but one of the few good songs in Revival is Castle. That is a quality song. I think that is definitely an underrated Eminem song. That's the best song on Revival, and it definitely got overshadowed because of how Revival turned out for a lot of people, including me. But Castle's a really good song by Eminem. It's got great production, really good rapping for Eminem. It's a good song he did for his daughter. I like his flow and delivery. I like the chorus. I think it's just a great song. And I like how it ties in with the Arose song. I think that's pretty cool. And if you pay attention to the Castle song and if you listen to the way Eminem sounds on the song, how his voice sounds when he's rapping, it sounds like it's from the Recovery era, which I consider this an unreleased song that he put out because it's from the Recovery era being put on a 2017 album. So yeah, Castle's definitely one of his most underrated songs, one of the better moments of Revival, that's for sure. So yeah, that's it for my list of underrated Eminem songs. If some of these maybe don't seem underrated and they seem popular, I did the best I could. Like I said, it was kind of tough to put a list together of like underrated Eminem songs because you got a lot of songs that are popular that people know about. Like people know about Not Afraid and Lose Yourself and Survival and Stan and all that stuff. So I tried to pick more of his like less talked about, less played, kind of less known songs and put them in the video. And these are what I think are the most underrated Eminem songs that are really good and should get more shine, spotlight, and should be talked about more and played more. That's all I got to say for this video. Peace. And let me know in the comments what Eminem songs you think are underrated. That's it for this video. Peace.